Cheaters never prosper, but that hasn't stopped many a player from trying to break their favourite games and make them easier for themselves. Sometimes they get away with it and happily get to play as the invincible god that always knew themselves to be. But occasionally game developers grow wise to such shenanigans and find ways to mess with players who try and cheat the system. Here are some of the most unique ways video games let their cheating players know they're not mad, just disappointed. Chort the Murder Cow, The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt has so much to do and so many ways for players to earn money that cheating to do so seems a bit unnecessary. Of course, gamers did it anyway once they found an exploit in the early part of the game that allowed them to make tons of money. In an early section of the game, there's a farm riddled with cows that you can murder and sell their hides for money. Unlike puny mortal cows, these cows would respawn after 1 hour in game. So players would simply meditate for an hour, wake up to living cows and quickly turn them into more hides. After a while the player would sell their massive hide pile for tons of dough, making it an easy way to afford much stronger weapons than they were supposed to have at that point in the game. Developer CJ Projekt Red learned of the exploit and released an update that made you pay for that serial hyphercide. Casually called the Bovine Defense Force Initiative, it will send a vicious cow monster called Chort to tear you to ribbons. You had virtually no shot at surviving as Chort died level 27 Nightmare. What's more, if you somehow managed to kill Chort, you'd be greeted with another Chort, and then another, and then another. This kept going until you die. Get Project Red's point and play the game like an honest monster murderer. The Serious Room, the Stanley Parable. In the Stanley Parable, you explore an empty office building trying to figure out where everyone went. Throughout, the narrative badgers you about how the story should go, but you can easily ignore him and go wherever you want. Within reason, of course. You're free to explore, but if you try using server cheats via Steam's developer code, the game sends you to the Serious Room. This is an empty room with a single wooden table and a door you cannot open. There, the narrator drones on and on about his search for a proper serious table, while lecturing you on how you've got no respect for a strict order of narrative events. As punishment for your attempts to cheat, he sentences you to 100 billion trillion years inside the Serious Room. If you pause the game and try and use server cheats again, the narrator returns to scold you on not having learned your lesson. He then extends your punishment to infinity years in the Serious Room. Enter it yet again, and the narrator returns to scold you again, warning that he's going to store to purchase an even more serious table, hoping it'll help you understand how naughty you've been. At that point, you're completely stuck in the Serious Room forever, or until you start a new game. Hopefully, you'll take it a bit more serious next time. Public Apology H1Z1. H1Z1 is a battle royale style game, but hundreds of players all shoot each other to strive to be the last man standing. It's all in good fun provided everybody's playing fair. Of course, some players just can't do that, resulting to various cheats designed to make them stronger, avoid other players, and overall make the game unfair to everybody but themselves. This usually results in the cheaters getting banned. However, this isn't enough for H1Z1, which took it one hilarious step further. Daybreak President John Smedley went on Twitter to announce they were willing to unban anyone who would publicly apologise, but they had to admit to their cheating and sincerely apologise for it publicly via a YouTube video. Only then may their accounts be reinstated. Ultimately, according to Smedley on Reddit, the tactic got 5 people unbanned, as it appears many either didn't want to make a video, or, based on his comment, you don't just get to make a video and get unbanned, or made insincere. Maybe an eternity in a Serious Room will set them straight. Scolded By Sans-Undertale. If you want the good endings in Undertale, you have to be nice. Don't kill the monsters you encounter, don't agree to help destroy the universe, and most of all, don't cheat. Do so and the game will scold you for it and end in a brutal anticlimax. If you had to gain the reach the end without doing anything, you get sent straight to the final scene. You enter the barrier between the human world and the underworld, and the ending credits do run. You then get a traditional call from your skeleton buddy Sans, who initially appears perplexed that you managed to achieve an impossible ending. He then implores you to tell whoever made the game, just in case there was some kind of glitch. He always knows what you did, and he soon drops the ignorant bag of bones routine to call you out. His eyes turn coal black as he calls you a dirty hacker. Sans then hangs up, forever abandoning you in ending limbo. You don't know what happens to your friends, you don't learn the underground's fate, and you win absolutely nothing except the shame of being exposed as someone who can't or won't complete a game on their own. Public execution, Guild Wars. Guild Wars is a fantasy MMORPG for people tired of World of Warcraft and looking for something with a different name. Be warned though, the people behind Guild Wars don't suffer cheaters well, and will in fact make them publicly suffer before booting them entirely. Starting in 2010, Guild Wars creators ArenaNet began banning players who used bots and other hacks to make matches and raids easier. But they didn't just ban them, they murdered them. They sent a giant monster called Doom, who also known as the God of Death, to slice up the offending player with its scythe, taking them out of the match and then out of the game permanently. This only happens to cheating players, so everyone around them knows exactly what's going on. Breaking the fourth wall, Metal Gear Solid. The Metal Gear Solid series would be the same game without breaking the fourth wall. Whether it's Psycho Mantis reading your memory card or Big Boss commanding you to turn off the game, Snake's universe knows full well you're there. It also knows when you try to take advantage of it, and it won't tolerate the cheating. In the Metal Gear Solid scene where Revolver Ocelot tortures Snake, your goal is to preserve Snake's strength throughout the ordeal. Perhaps you've been tampered to use the controller with auto-fire, making it easier to button mash enough to keep Snake alive. But Konami knew people would do this, and they apparently told Ocelot. That's why after informing Snake of his presence, he turns to the camera, points right at the player and warns,
"Don't even think about using auto-fire, or I'll know."
And it's definitely not bluffing. If you try using auto-fire, the time limit bar immediately drains and you can't do anything to stop it. Seconds later, you're out of time and forced to watch helplessly as Snake's life rapidly seeps from his body. Watching Snake die helplessly is bad enough, but if you didn't save anywhere near this scene, oh dear. See, just before this sequence, Ocelot tells Snake there is no continues, my friend. As such, you can't continue if you die here, and have to start wherever you last slaved. And if that was 10 hours ago, tough luck. You shouldn't have cheated in the first place. You cannot cheat the lottery, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door introduces gambling to the Mario universe. At one point in the game, you encounter a friendly bomb who runs something it calls the Happy Lucky Lottery. You can buy a ticket for 100 coins, and if a randomly generated winning number matches yours, you win. The game lets you use your number daily until you win. Some players, of course, didn't want to wait. By setting the system's internal clock to one day in the past, you can use your number again, hoping the new randomly generated number matches yours. There's just one problem with this. The bomb knows. It reports something very unhappy has happened, mentions a tampering clock and asks if you had anything to do with it. If you deny it, the bomb badgers you until you confess. Once you do, it screams at Mario about being unlucky and unhappy and how humans can't be trusted. It then explodes and your screen goes black. After a moment, everything returns to normal, and a now calm Bomb makes you swear to never cheat again, and if you want to play the lottery again, you have to pay him 500 coins for a ticket. 8 bosses at once, Crusader No Regret. Crusader No Regret, a top-down action game from 1996, wasn't blind to how much players loved to cheat. In this case, the developers assumed the players would attempt to use the same cheat codes from the original Crusader game. If anyone did, they got a nasty surprise. Almost immediately after entering an old cheat code, a message pops up saying, "Of course we changed the cheats." Your character is then transported to a special room where, accompanied by a taunting medley of Christmas carols like Jingle Bells and Frosty the Snowman, 8 super strong bosses riding giant weaponized mechs mercilessly attack you. It is possible to kill all 8 by running and shooting everywhere, whilst also letting the mechs shoot themselves down. It's not easy, and victory, however, is completely worthless. Should you down all 8 bosses, the silencer turns to the camera and promptly explodes. So even though you avoided death, you are now dead. The moral? Don't cheat. But if you are going to, at least make sure you're using the right codes. The Cheater's Pool, Max Payne 3. Max Payne 3 has a multiplayer mode which means it's filled with dirty, filthy cheaters. But Rockstar Studios isn't stupid, and they thought up another way to stop cheaters from ruining the game for others. Let them cheat, but away from everyone else. In a 2020 statement, Rockstar acknowledged a small minority of people hacking using bots and mods to tilt matches in their favour. Rather than ban them, any player caught cheating would be resigned to a cheater's pool, which was essentially a separate playing space far from most other gamers. In the pool with nothing but other cheaters, they would only ever play against other cheaters. That said, Rockstar did open up to the possibility of allowing cheaters back into the main game fold if they seem repentant enough. But if that doesn't work and they cheat again, then they're gone completely. No special room, no extra chances, just a cold Burma ban for anyone unwilling to learn this simple lesson. Don't use Doom cheat codes. Heratic. Heratic is basically Doom with wizards and magic instead of demons and hellfire. As such, it makes sense that cheaters will try to hack the game using Doom's codes. This is, to put mildly, a massive cockle. Using Doom cheats in Heratic will completely destroy your character, and the game will do so poetically and ironically. If you enter the code IDDQD in Doom, it activates God mode, making you invincible. In Heratic, it simply lets you meet God by murdering you. What's more, it gives you guff for what you did, suggesting you just killed yourself. It doesn't get much better. If you input IDKFA in Doom, that cheat grants you all possible weapons in the game. In Heratic, it takes all of them away, replacing them with a single wooden staff that couldn't beat back a kitten. It then scolds you with cheater. You don't deserve any weapons. Heratic does have its own set of cheat codes, and there doesn't appear to be any punishment for using them. So clearly, the game's developers are less insulted by your cheating and more by your being too lazy to learn how to cheat correctly. So that is 10 ways video game developers have messed with dirty little cheaters. Learn your lesson next time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to punch the like button, leave a comment down below, of course subscribe to your YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links down below, so you know the second these videos go live. And of course we are partnered with TubeBuddy for tags, titles, thumbnails, all that sort of good stuff. Head down below to the first link and install TubeBuddy today, and trust me, you'll never look back. So, thank you so much for watching. I've been Heratic, and I shall see you in the next video.